All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. So I got to say that it's an honor to be here today. I'm looking at all of these faces here. Can I get a show of hands on how many of you guys are entrepreneurs or business owners, and this is your first 3 to 5 years of, well, anywhere from 1 to 5 years of business? That's awesome. How many of you guys have been in business more than 5 years? That's wonderful. I want to tell you guys, first off, that I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years. And I have to say, it's one of the hardest things I think that anyone can do as far as something you do day in and day out. I know you guys understand that. I want to give my hats off to you because you're doing something that the majority of people cannot accomplish. I mean, the failure rate for businesses after 5 years is over 80%. So for people to make it past 5 years, congratulations. It takes a heck of a lot to do that. For those of you that are in business before 5 years, still congratulations, because it takes a lot to leave a job and leave that security. But as you guys already know, the reward is pretty great as well, because you get to control your income. And that's something that I personally love about owning a business, is I get to decide how much I make that year. And if I happen to be a little lazy, then I must not want to eat that much, right? So I want to talk about, and let me get the clicker. I hope this works, so be patient with me, guys. It's my first time using this equipment. But what we're going to do is we're going to network. We're going to talk about a few tips. You guys are going to grab lunch, and then we're going to dive in to magnetic marketing, okay? So before we start networking with each other, I want to share a personal story. I do commercial real estate. Is one of the businesses that we own. So I spend most of my time talking to CEOs, CFOs, institutional managers, and whatnot. So networking for me is something that's a challenge, because you want to get in front of the right person, but those people are usually very used to being contacted, right? So you have to be memorable, you have to be relevant and make an impact, but not be too pushy, okay? So I want to give you guys some tips on how to network with each other for the next few minutes so that you guys can make it memorable. First one is be authentic. Nobody wants somebody phony, okay? And one trick that I've learned very quickly is that the most important people in the room are usually sitting around the corner. They're not diving in because they don't need to. They know everybody they need to know. They feel like they have all the connections they need to have. You're the one that wants to reach out to them. So what I learned is I chill back in the corner as well. And I lean back and I'm like, look at all these people hustling, trying to do this stuff. How are you doing? And I kind of nudge my way in, and I go to their level. But it's being authentic, because you have to be confident enough in your business to do that. You have to believe in yourself enough to where they're comfortable with you. Second point is to be polite and focus on the follow-up. I can't tell you how many times people will meet someone of note and not call these guys back or call these women back right after they meet with them, okay? It's amazing to me how you can meet maybe the CEO of a company. You get a card, you build a rapport, and you forget to call them the next day. You forget to ask them for coffee or lunch. So doing that, I think, is just as important as meeting that connection. Next step is find unique places to meet. So let's say you meet a great contact here, okay? Don't take them to Starbucks. Everyone goes to Starbucks. You know, don't pick just a Bennigan's or a Cafe Express or, you know, some regular restaurant. Pick something that shows your character. I take all my lunches to Reggae Hut or Breakfast Club. One, because they're a client, and I like doing that because I patronize my clients that work with me. Another reason I do it is because it shows a little bit of who I am. It shows some character. I get to tell them stories I had in those places. Okay, so from the very beginning, they get to see a little bit of who I am from the first engagement. So pick a spot that you feel like this shows who you are, right? And that's where you invite your people. If you're trying to save and maybe you don't want to spend a lot of money on lunches repeatedly, pick a very unique coffee shop that has like imported coffee beans or something really unique with a cool story and cool people, okay? Next point is to be considerate, to not talk about what you do, right? If you're trying to build a relationship with someone, care about them first. My mom taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I kind of stressed that a little bit further until I don't have permission to talk about me until I can engage and love on them a little bit. And that goes back to the authenticity, right? You gotta have that natural connection. If it's fake, it doesn't work. Because these guys, especially the C-level executives, if they're on that level, they can feel if you're not being authentic. So if you're not there yet, if you're not authentic, just save your time and practice first. But when you get to that level, be authentic and listen before you talk about yourself. Last point here, spend time with the people that you get the most traction with. I can tell you also, being in commercial real estate, there's some people that see me and right off the bat, they know they're not working with me. That's just how it is. And there are also some people that see me and say, I'll give that guy a shot. Then there's a group that says, well, let's see what he says first. Okay? But you got to learn to feel that out. You're not going to win everyone. And one of the hardest things I had to deal with as an entrepreneur was dealing with that rejection initially. Because we're doing this hand-to-hand combat. You guys know how it is. And so when you get rejected, it hurts. You know, I'll share some of my stories later because I got some painful ones. You know, but it hurts, but you learn, hey, look, if I connect with someone, okay, then you guys you can be friends. You can vibe, you can grow the relationship. And you can almost tell immediately that rapport. You pretty much, people that are experienced, I'm sure you guys will agree with me. People that connect with you, you know pretty quickly. And you also know people that may be a little tepid. You can tell that too. So read the signs and spend time with people that you have traction with. All right, so I'm not going to go through the questions yet because I want you guys to focus on the first slide more, right? These killer questions, you guys can use this as a reference, but I want you guys to please, as you're networking with each other, use these questions, be authentic, try to connect with someone that you vibe with, and then pick a good spot to go for coffee or lunch. Is everybody cool with that? To give you a little bit of background on who I am, we own two businesses. Magnetic Media is one, Workspace Commercial Real Estate is another business. Both have been in business over 10 years. Both have been profitable. On the commercial real estate side, we've been able to represent Lone Star College. We're one of the 5 firms that got the $500 million contract recently. We've sold property for the city of Houston. That's a fun story. I'm going to tell you about that too. So we represented the city of Houston, sold property for them as early as this year. And we've represented Smoothie King, Wack and Hut, you name it. Allstate, State Farm, a lot of tenant rep deals. On the media side, we've done campaign consulting. We've done business consulting, all with marketing to bring people and grow their profits, basically. On the marketing side, we work with NCAA, the Final Four, some of our bigger clients here, and a lot of local people here on a one-on-one basis that are locally owned and managed here in Houston. Now, before I got into business, I want to start this story at University of Houston. I was a student there, and it was my first real taste of marketing. Now, I think I was a junior at the time. For some crazy reason, I decided to run for student body president at University of Houston. There was about 35,000 people at the university at the time. I signed up as an independent candidate. So I go down to the Campus Activities University Center, and I sign up, and I don't know what I'm doing. I fill out this form, and all of a sudden, boom. Okay, James Roberts is going to be on the ballot. I got nervous then because I wasn't really a popular guy. I didn't see myself that way. I kind of saw myself as a cool nerd. So I started to think, well, I'm about to get embarrassed. You know, you got 34,000 people that are going to see my name on this ballot, and I don't want to have this horrible turnout where nobody's supporting me. I hate rejection. That's just one of my weaknesses. I have a hard time dealing with rejection. So that motivated me. So I went to the 2 parties that were running. There was an all-black party that was Greek, and there was an all-white party. Don't ask me how it turned out that way. That's college fraternities and sororities. They're typically segregated sometimes. That's just life, right? So me, I wasn't in any fraternity or sorority. So at first, I said, well, look, you know, the black fraternity and sorority group, they didn't have a president. I said, I'm black. Let me go ahead and talk to them. Let me see if I can make some synergy there. And they looked at me and said, no, we don't think you're going to be a fit to be president of our ticket. So then I go to the white fraternity and sorority, and I'm thinking, well, you know, they have a president, maybe they have a spot in another position. And they saw me and said, well, maybe we'll put you on a subcommittee, right? So I go from president to being on some subcommittee where I was like, I want to be president. So I was stuck. I had to run. Now, this is my first experience in marketing because I was forced to recruit people. I was forced to create an idea that was bigger than myself and get people involved quickly before the election. So let's do a long story short. We ended up doing guerrilla marketing. We created an image. We branded ourselves Student Voice. We were the only party that was representing the students. At least we branded ourselves that way. We created a logo. Even though I was the only guy on the party, I got 40 people to help me as volunteers. So we were really running an idea instead of a person. I didn't put my face, like you see on a lot of campaigns here, didn't have my face on flyers. Because I figured, things being the way that they are, the first thing I want people to see about me is the content of my character. I wanted people to see the ideas and not necessarily how attractive I was or was not. I didn't want that. Now, my wife was running, I'd tell her to put her face on there, but not me. I was like, I don't want to do that. So what ended up happening is we got flyers plastered everywhere on campus. When teachers were teaching their class, they'd roll down their easels and you would see vote student voice signs. And people start cracking up. When you went to the lunchroom, you saw little table tents with student voice flyers there. When you went in the elevators, you saw our marketing, okay? And each one had unique statements. So I learned then that if you capture what people want and make it magnetic, that they'll end up following you. We ended up winning that election. First time in UH history that an independent won a student body election that way, with that size. Now, I want to quickly accelerate here because I don't want to spend too much time on myself, but this is an important story. So I had one of the toughest times of my life after I won. Imagine Donald Trump, if I was Donald Trump, where you're president, right? And then you have the entire party where the Senate, Congress, everyone else is the other party. You're going to have some upset people. The only thing I accomplished by winning was I knocked off the head guy on another person's ticket. That's it. So they weren't too happy with me. They moved to impeachment proceedings within 2 weeks. If you go to campus, you'll hear this story still to this day. They went to impeachment proceedings immediately. I spent the entire year fighting for my political life. I felt humiliated because people were saying things about me that I'd never heard of before. They made up police reports where I was on the front page of the student newspaper with campus activity police report numbers saying that I was scheming to misallocate funds. I wasn't even in office yet. But you have some MBA students that are very smart. They were law students. One of the reasons that lawyers aren't my favorite to this day. But there were some law students said, hey, we're going to fix this guy. Our party may have lost the head spot, but we're not going to let him do anything while he's in office. So I spent a whole year fighting and trying to salvage my reputation, or so I thought. The first girlfriend I had even, she cheated on me that same year. Just to throw that in there, right? Just throw that in there. I had a rough year, okay? It would have raised and pours, man. So it got so bad to where I was curled up. I'm not joking. I was curled up in a ball in my dorm room as a student. I'm asking my mom, what do I do? She said, I have no advice. I've never been in that position. I don't know what to tell you. It was my first experience with humiliation and my first experience with helplessness. I couldn't control the image that people were putting out there about me. And I had to make a change there. So this is where the marketing mind, I guess, turned on. And this is what motivated me. So I went out there on campus in campus activities and started talking about the truth, talking about what was going on and messaging people, using those volunteers to have an active campaign. And I resolved that we're going to do something positive in spite of the fighting. We're going to make history and do the things we promised to do. Now, the impeachment trial, it took a year to get to a trial. The local news media showed up on campus on the impeachment trial. It was televised on the afternoon news. The Black Panther Party showed up on campus. It was that bad. The president of the school, Arthur K. Smith, left the state. Go ahead.
What year was this?
2000 to 2002.
Okay.
So if you went to school, you may remember, if you were in U of H at the time, it was a big deal. So the president of the school left the state. Okay, it was a very big issue. 1,000 students showed up to my impeachment trial. Because of all the marketing that we did, they stopped it. They said, if you do this against this person, we're going to vote all you guys out because this is wrong. It wasn't me or my efforts. It wasn't the track record of doing good work. It was students that said, this doesn't make sense. We're listening to what these people are saying. We're listening to the message that the president's saying here. We support this guy. I thank God for that because that helped it really validated, it vindicated me. So at the end of the year, the press was like, well, all these charges look trumped up, but my year was over. So the entire year I fought for my life, didn't get to do as much as I wanted. So the next year, and we're going to cap this story, is we ran with an entire ticket this time. So just like they had a ticket, we picked a whole party called Student Voice again. It was the first time in UH history where every single contested seat was won. I don't think it's ever been done since we've done it. Okay? And not only that, but the party that we started stayed in power for almost 10 years after we left. Now, this is what powerful marketing can do. I don't take credit for it, but it's injecting a philosophy in someone strong enough to where it stays with them. It's injecting an idea so that it becomes bigger than a person. And so that showed me very early on, okay, well, one, I feel like I may have a gift in this area, and I kind of like some of politics, so let me try this out. So I started working with Anise Parker at City Hall. I was Director of Community Relations. And my real job was running campaigns. I was an operative. So I was sent places to beat people. That's what I did. So when anyone that wasn't a friend of the people I worked with at the time, we'd go in and we'd make sure our person won. All over the state, they would send me places. When I was in the off season, I'd work back at City Hall. Now, my political affiliations now, I'm independent. I'm not Republican or Democrat. And I say that because I don't want to, I'm not preaching a certain position for anybody here. Okay, but my job at the time, absolutely, was as an operative. So I founded a political organization, one of the fastest growing in the state. You know, I ran those campaigns, like I said, and eventually I started to have a family. I wanted to make more money. And the way people watch you at City Hall, you can't make over a certain amount without getting certain eyeballs on you. And I had a family that I needed to support. So I told my political bosses, you know, can you guys let me go? Because I want to go ahead and make some money in the private sector. So that's how I got into commercial real estate. Started at Grubb & Ellis and had some really hard knocks there, learned some very tough lessons doing hand-to-hand combat with business-to-business sales. So to sum that up, I told you that story for this one reason, that what I'm about to share with you now is part of my life, okay? It's something that's so valuable and important to me. It took me over a decade to figure this out. So I hope that it's worth your while, but I wanted you to understand the person behind this presentation. Okay, so magnetic marketing is based on this principle that if you show people that you have what they want or need, you don't have to sell. Okay, I'll say that again because it's that important. If you show people that you have what they want or need, there is no selling that's required. Now, by the end of this presentation, you guys are going to understand very clearly the principles of magnetic marketing. You're going to know how to do it. You're going to understand how to create magnetic content. That's one thing we'll talk about today. You're also going to understand what channels you may want to use. And last but not least, we're going to show you guys how we used some magnetic marketing principles for some amazing results. One of the biggest ones, I can't wait to show you guys later, which we did on Facebook, that got over 2 million views in 2 days. Okay, so, well, that was my slide. So you guys can see my family and you can see my LinkedIn profile here. I wanted to point this out because you guys just took professional profile shots. So if you don't have a professional shot, be sure to put that on your LinkedIn profile. It does wonders. If you just take a selfie, cell phone shot, you're like every average Joe or every average Sue. But when you have a profile shot, it makes people look twice. Okay, so for most of you guys here, if you hear marketing, what do you think? You think about a very broad, convoluted strategy that involves maybe running some ads here or there, putting a video up, building a website, but there's really a lack of tangible results. If you were in sales, I think you definitely understand that marketing and sales have a very tenuous relationship. Salespeople want support from marketing. They want stuff to help them sell. Marketing sometimes goes off on a tangent where the stuff we're producing is more like an About You page. All this stuff that's about your company, but how relevant is it to the people that actually buy from you? That's kind of the chasm that constantly happens between marketing and sales. So I think when you have a sales strategy, having a magnetic sales strategy is crucial to build everything from what's most important to your ideal customer. That's the one premise I want to point out here. We don't start by thinking about what you want to do for someone. You want to start from square one, thinking about your customer, where they eat, where they sleep, how old they are, where they like to reside online, where they like to reside in person, what publications they read. We start there. We start with their pain. We start with their frustration. Okay? I hate to repeat this cliche, but what keeps them up at night? You want to start there. We also want to think about what they research, okay, when they're making a buying decision. Who do they go to when they want validation on a certain company or a product? This is where we want our center to be. And if you start there, you're going to have much better results. So this is a Mary Sue. She is an ideal customer. Now a Mary Sue doesn't like to be bothered very much. She's very shy. She's the kind of person that when you go to a car lot, she locks the door when she drives on the lot because she didn't want the salespeople to mess with her. That's a Mary Sue. Now, a Mary Sue likes to do her research before she buys a product. She likes to take her time. When she makes a decision, she'll go get it. But if you try to sell to a Mary Sue the way that most old-time salespeople usually do by shaking her hand, hey, how can I help you, Mary? It's a wonderful day here at Widget World. Can I get something for you? She's not interested in that. She don't want to hear that. She wants to get what she wants and get out. So in order to get a Mary Sue, you've got to catch her when she's initially looking, when she's doing the research. You have to reside where she's open to absorb that information. And then you have to have content that is educational, that's entertaining, and engaging. Am I making sense to everybody here? Okay. So when you look at the definition of marketing, this is the action or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. Listening to that definition makes me hate marketing. It's too broad. And if you're an entrepreneur, why would you spend any money here? What's the return on investment? You know, if I was a marketing consultant, and I am, right? But I tell you, I promise I don't go to my clients like this. You know, try to have someone spend money on something that's that broad. What's the end game here? How much money do I have to spend? What's my return on investment? What channels do you want me to advertise? Okay, show me some guarantee, if you can, that I'm going to get a return on this thing. That's something that the internet's been struggling with. Facebook, YouTube, they've been struggling with this. Okay, but I have what we believe is a strong solution that we want you guys to employ. Now, magnetic marketing is the strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing content. That's the difference, to attract and retain a clearly defined audience. Now, another way of saying that is we know who we want, and we're going to dominate every area that they care about and pay attention so they can absorb our information. And every page, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, we want our company to be at the top, if not top number 2, working on getting to number 1. And if you can do that, you're going to organically get people that trust you. There will be no selling involved. You're going to be the company that they just naturally refer. I can tell you personally, in commercial real estate, I've been on meetings where most of my meetings work this way now. We do no selling. I don't cold call at all. I haven't had to cold call for over 5 years. And I'm very thankful for that because cold calling sucks. It's horrible, right? And I used to make over 100 calls a day. I called so many people. I had auto dialers that I would call people. We had our company hire people to call people. We would call so much. And it drove me nuts because all these calls you're making to C-level execs, and it's the same thing over and over. The people that you want to reach, you either catch the right person at the wrong time or you catch the wrong person at the right time. and it's this constant mix. And I saw that our return on investment, it just wasn't high enough. We were spending so much money to not make a lot of progress. So it was a revelation to me to use these tactics in a field as tough as commercial real estate to get to the place where I can meet with someone. And they would say, okay, James, we've already seen what you guys are about. Let's just talk about what we need. I love that position. I don't even think I'm a great salesman anymore because I don't practice it. I don't talk to people the way I had to talk to people when I first started. I just shake my head and show them my contract because all of our work has been done on the front end. Now, if you look at our workspace real estate page, which will show you guys some of this, right? You'll see a few thousand views on stuff. You'll see 3,000 here or there. You don't see a lot. It's not like 100,000 views. One is because of the industry. But the other reason is how we use it. We're not promoting this to the masses. We send this to a very select small group of people. And that small group of people get to see this exclusive information. That makes them feel special, all right? And to be honest with you, I don't want to waste the money from a company perspective on eyeballs that we don't have any relevance to. It doesn't make sense. So that's part of the focused target market. So when we talk about all of this magnetic marketing, this is the cornerstone. It's content. Content is king. Everybody has content. When you have a business and you're going through your day-to-day, your content is what you're passionate about, the problems you're passionate about solving. The content is going to be revealed in the buyer persona, which is on that sheet you guys have. It's basically a buyer profile, which we're going to fill out today. And with any luck, all of you guys will have some interesting points that you guys can expand upon so you can start building your content for the year and start employing some of these tactics. Now, one thing that's great about magnetic marketing is the scalability. When you focus on content that people want and want to consume, the better social media gets, the better your business runs. Now I can tell you, let me put that in a better way. As Facebook reaches more and more people, and as Facebook gets better at selecting good content for people, your content is going to move up faster than everyone else's because it's more relevant. Google spends an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out what the consumer wants to get. They're trying to get away from the black hat and white hat SEO tricks, where people are putting backlinks and doing tactics to trick the search engine to put people higher than they should be. Google actually punishes you for that now, very much so. What Google wants to do is they want to listen to people's conversations, and they do, by the way, if you don't know. And Facebook does as well. Facebook has access to listen to what you say on your phone as we speak. They probably hear what I'm saying now, all right? So they can hear what you're saying. Now, for me, I'm kind of torn because as a marketing person, I'm kind of excited about that because it allows me to find out exactly what my customers want. And I get to focus on just the people I need to reach. That's why they're doing it. That's what Google does as well. So what's happening is, as the years go on, these algorithms are saying, you know what? You know, Diana is focusing on, she's looking at new hair dryers this week. I see that from her search history. I see she went on Amazon. She looked at 3 or 4 items and then left. Then I see she went to eBay. And here are the hair dryers that she wants. So here's me as a company. I find it out through working with Google or these analytics. I can see that information and I can act on it. Hey, Diana, here's some hair dryers. Right in the price range that you want. Here's a video explaining how that hair dryer is used. Here's a video showing all the great testimonials about the hair dryer. Here's another video showing everything you could want to know about this hair dryer. You know, and by the way, you know, I can call you. I can have options. I can call you if I want. I can email you further. I can just wait and have you on an email drip campaign and see if you pop later on. These are the things that are possible. So as social media grows in strength, and it's going to continue to do that, your capabilities increase. So I can tell you, I'm very happy to say that in our industry, in commercial real estate, which is one of the most archaic industries out there still, we're still very old school. The further along we get in social media, the more leads we get, the more competitive we are. Sometimes we beat CBRE, which is the largest firm in the world, because as big as they are, we're reaching people that they are not reaching because we're doing things they're not doing, okay? And at the end of the day, you can say that you have 1 million brokers working for you and that you're global, but if they haven't heard of you and they've heard of me for a year, and I've been constantly pumping good information, when I go visit them, I have an advantage. I just have to close it now. Okay, so a magnetic marketing principle is this. Your content must be engaging, it has to be entertaining, and it has to be educational. If the content's not entertaining, people won't click on it, okay? If your content's not engaging, they're not gonna know what to do after they watch it. And if your content is not educational, they're not gonna understand when to buy from you. They're not gonna understand how to buy from you. They're not gonna understand where to buy from you. Okay, so I'm gonna pick on Diana real quick. Tell me 2 ways that you can buy an iPhone.
On the website.
Okay.
Or on Facebook, the groups, to sell groups.
Okay. Facebook, I didn't expect Facebook. That's good. Facebook groups. I bet you if I pushed you, I bet you could probably name four of the ways you could buy an iPhone. Okay, so I want to bring up this point. Apple spends an inordinate amount of money, and so do these major companies. They understand this principle. This is why I believe that sales is changing in this country. You don't see Amazon or Netflix or Apple having sales reps going door to door or calling people. You don't see that anymore. Now, AT&T and these companies used to have pretty large sales forces that focused on the hand-to-hand B2B sales that you see us doing, that many of us do now. But what you guys have to be careful about is these companies have figured out how to reach people in a way that's very different than how we reach people. And what that means for you is that, and look at Toys R Us that just closed recently. that just went out of business. They didn't get it. Amazon got it. And Amazon has used those methods to use algorithms, use data, use metrics to figure out what people want and grow that base to the point where they have loyal customers that won't go anywhere else. Now, I can tell you, I would be embarrassed to show you how much we spend on Amazon a month because they got it to the point where you deliver same day. They got it to the point where you save money, save 20, 30% on items, and it's so impulsive. Once they have your credit card information, you can just click something on your phone and it just shows up. And every day is like Christmas. You know, you go to my house, you'll see a stack, you know, this high with Amazon boxes. And what's even better is the return policy. So when you return something from Amazon, it's no hassle. You know, why are you returning this product? Because it's Tuesday, you know? It's not a big deal. It's Tuesday. That's why I'm returning. They don't care. Now, you go to a mom and pop and try that. It's like giving back a lung. You know, it's like I just spent $500 on this widget. You know, I had to pay my supplier. You want to bring this back? I got to charge you a restocking fee. No, I'm not going to go there anymore. Now, that's fair. I'm a business owner too. So I can empathize with their plight. But I'm encouraging you guys, you have to do this. If you have a mercantile goods business, you have to start adopting models that the consumers are used to now. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get left in the dust. You're going to be a Toys R Us. Amazon is killing so many businesses now, it's scary, it's frightening. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is to use these principles. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how you want to use this in a second. Okay, so let's talk about the components of a magnetic marketing plan. So now we're going to get to the meat of it. First thing is market research. That's your buyer persona. That's what we're going to cover a little bit of today. Now, our buyer persona that we do for clients is over 75 questions. And we have a third party do it, so it's anonymous. And we do it for this one reason. Your customers may not want to share with you secrets on how they buy. They may be scared that you can use that information to manipulate them later. So you can't ask them, what 3 or 4 sources did you look at? You can't ask them to show their competitors' bids. They may not want to show you the pricing because maybe you'll raise your price. You realize you're super cheap. Maybe you'll see that. Or maybe you'll see a couple of sites they looked at and say, well, hey, Joe Blow, you got me to do all this stuff, and Mary Sue was just doing half of that. And I'm doing so much more work for the same amount of money. They don't want you to know that. So you have to get a third party that's anonymous that can say and assure them, they're not going to know your name. We just need to get your information, okay, to build a buyer persona. Now, what we're going to do, because we can't call clients here in this class, we're going to assume. This is the first logical step. For those of us that have been in business for some time, go ahead and assume who your ideal client is. I want you to picture that person in your mind, and we're going to answer as we think they would answer. And that's where we'll start our work. As time goes on and as your business grows, you can get a group to do this for you and get much more detail as needed. The second thing we're going to do is content creation. This is the fun part. So this is where we do our blogs and our vlogs and our social media posts. This is where we use LinkedIn and start filling in content. And what's important about getting the market research done in the beginning is that because we know what people want, we can focus all our energy on just that thing. We don't have to waste any steps talking about our business. We don't have to waste any steps on an About You page, but your company, a bunch of stuff nobody wants to hear about. We can just focus on problem, solution. Problem, solution. Here's another solution. Here's everything you want to know about that solution. And just on that so people can grow with you. Now, here's what's important about magnetic marketing principles here. When you're putting in content, this is your opportunity to show your personality. Okay, I love technology. So for our commercial real estate company, we're the most tech-savvy company out there because I just love gadgets. So we have drones. We have video listings. We have all kinds of cool stuff. Nobody else does. And it's not because it makes us necessarily more profitable. It's because we like it. That's who we are. So when people come in and see us, it's like, well, we know they love the gadgets. When we come into our presentations, we all have iPads. You know, we don't use paper anymore. All our stuff's electronic. The only paper that we send is when someone's doing a commercial listing that we need to use a tar form. That's it. Everything else is all digital. This is an opportunity to show your personality. It's also an opportunity to give your philosophy in solving a problem. Now, if you guys are in the service industry, I know we got some consultants here. I know Leticia, right? Because you're Mary Kay. You're not, I said Mary Kay. You're Mary Kay? The only reason I knew that is because of her, she was wearing pink. That's the only reason I knew that. But with your makeup consulting business, when you're in a consulting business, you get a chance to show your passion while solving a problem. Now let me give you 2 examples. Imagine if Letitia was doing a video and she just said, hey, my name's Letitia, here's everything about me. Okay? And then she did another video that said, hey, this is Letitia, and here's everything you wanted to know about this thing that you were looking for. Or this is everything you wanted to know about makeup, successful makeup principles. I'm just going on the fly, so excuse me. So you're just throwing stuff out there that people naturally want. You're going to watch the second video. The other one is just a video about someone that you don't know yet. You don't have a reason to care. And the sad thing is, what people get confused about on the internet is they think that putting attractive people up there and getting a lot of views means you're getting traction. You just have to give good information. That's what people want. And I'll tell you something else. People want authenticity. So if they see a real person telling a real story, showing real struggles that they can empathize with, you'll win that business so much more than if you're stuck, you're stiff, and you're stuck. So when we talk about content creation, it's all authenticity. It's all focused on the solution. Now, the next step is sales funnels. We're not going to talk about that too much here because that can get a little complicated, but I'll sum it up by saying this. A sales funnel is the structure that you put together that starts with, let's say, an internet ad, like a Google ad or a Facebook ad. First step. Next step goes to a splash page, which has one job, to get their contact information. The next step goes to a webinar. We call it cornerstone content. So in my industry, I may start off with giving them a free market report. Then I may do a webinar, 45-minute presentation I do one time, everything they need to know about leasing. And I put that on a webinar, 30 minutes long. In order to get access to that, they have to give my information. That's part of my funnel. When they watch that, they get to see our style. They get to see how we solve a problem. They get to determine whether or not they like us. If they like us, they move down the funnel. So after the webinar, we give them an offer. They buy we call it a tripwire, but it's a low-cost item that they can buy from us. For you guys, it could be a coffee mug. It can be a 30-minute consultation call. It can be whatever. If you're a restaurant, it could be a free lunch. You know, just something to get them to pull the trigger on a purchase with you. Something less than $49, scientifically speaking. Once you get that, you have them in a habit of purchasing from you, okay? We even have intellectual capital that we sell for that small price point. So once you have someone that does that, now you know that you have a relationship, you have a purchase history, now you can feed them an email drip campaign, and that's your funnel. So that's a very, very simplified funnel. They get more complicated. We don't have to do that here. That's another, if you guys should go to the other classes. We'll be talking more about sales funnels later. The next step is funding your funnel. This is where things get fun. Google and Facebook are so sophisticated now that we can see what our return on investment is going to be when we spend a certain amount of money. We can look at how many leads we capture, and then it's just a simple matter of determining what's our conversion rate on those leads. Once we know that, then I can determine if I spend $100, here's how many leads I'm going to get, here's how many sales I'm going to get. Okay, once I can do that, I call that funnel hacking, but that's where I can start dumping money into the funnel to get returns on investment. Does that make sense to everybody here? The last step I skipped was testing and measuring. Testing and measuring is where we're constantly looking back saying, how can this funnel be better? Because your first iteration of a sales funnel may not be great. Okay, it takes a lot of time to learn how to do this. And it could be complicated for you to try it yourself. I do recommend getting help to build a funnel. Your job is to run your business. But once it is built, my goodness, it's a great thing to have. And I'll tell you that that is how Amazon, Netflix, Best Buy, Apple, almost every company you hear of where there's not a salesperson, that's how they get your business. I'll tell you a quick story about Netflix. I have a love-hate relationship with Netflix. And so every couple of months, a series will come on that I want to see, like Stranger Things. Or it used to be Walking Dead, but that's just blown up. That's just horrible now. But Stranger Things is one of my favorite shows. And when it comes on, I'll buy a Netflix subscription. But when that's off, I don't like watching a lot of TV. I'll just shut it off. And we'll just save the money. So what happens is Netflix learns our behavior. And they know that, well, you know, James will put in his credit card information. He'll get on there and he'll jump off every so often. So when I sign off and I cancel my membership, there's no hemming and hawing. They just send a message, okay, well, thanks a lot. You know, it's basically the message like, thanks a lot. When you want to come back, just click here. That's what they show you. So when the show comes on and I like, and they're smart enough to where, I don't uninstall the app on the television, right? So once in a while, I'll just browse to see what they have new. And they'll show you all the new stuff, like you have the subscription. And then when you click on it, it's like, I got you. It's like, I got you. You clicked on, okay, you want to see Stranger Things this next season? Okay, just click restart your membership for $9.99 a month and go ahead and start watching. And you just click one button and you're back on. They remove all the barriers of purchase. They stay relevant. They even send emails with their drip campaigns. Hey, we got this new series coming out. So I want you guys to understand, magnetic marketing is not a new principle. It's just a principle that big businesses are using that we have to use to survive. Because the reality is this, 75% of all business is you guys, is us. It's small business. So we have to start doing this. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't want to think about the future where we can't compete with the market share of these companies like Amazon. I love small business owners. I think there's a diversity that we bring to the table. And there's a coldness to big companies. There's certain things they can't do well. As well as those sales funnels are, I mean, anyone that has a Comcast or AT&T subscription can realize, sometimes things fall through the cracks. And small business owners have a tremendous value add. So we want us to stay healthy. So when we talk about customer research and a buyer persona, you're thinking, well, how do I do this? I want you guys to pull out your buyer persona worksheet. We're going to go through that real quick. Eric, how much time do I have? 5 minutes? Okay. Okay, so what I want you guys to do, we don't have a ton of time. We don't have a ton of time here, but I want you guys to think about your ideal client and put your age of the ideal client that you have. For me, it's a business owner between 35 and 55 years old. My clients are split between men and women. Okay, for income, you want to put how much they make a year, your best estimate. Okay, and marital status. Are they usually married or are they usually single? As far as the buying habits here, and I'm going to move a little fast because of time, we're going to list 5 resources for your ideal customer where they look for information on your product or service. For us, it's commercial real estate, so the first place people go is usually Google, and they put office space for lease. We know that from our research that we do. They put office space for lease or they put commercial real estate for lease. For the marketing business we have, it's all over the place. There's too many to mention here because it's just not as focused. So for us, Google is a resource. Another one is Facebook. Another one is local chambers of commerce. Is anyone in the commercial real estate business here? Okay, you need to leave. Sharing my secrets with you, man. Okay, so, but I'm just joking. I'm joking. But Google, Facebook, LinkedIn is very powerful. LinkedIn groups is one of the best opportunities to grow influence with certain niches, okay? And you guys add 2 more. Now, your buyer frustrations, this is where your meat potatoes is going to be, right? Now, I want you to think about your ideal customer. For me, I have my largest client in mind. And for her, I'm thinking about the things that she's frustrated with in commercial real estate, which are the following. She's frustrated. She doesn't want to spend time on it. She wants to just get it done. She wants to make sure it's done correctly. Price point is important, but it's not the most important thing. She just wants to make sure that her legal liabilities are covered, that the deal is done, negotiated the best way possible, and that there are 0 hiccups so that she doesn't waste time. That's what is important to her. Now, it's important to focus on your ideal customer because your ideal customer may not be most of your customers. Now, I can share with you some of my hardest clients are always going to be the smaller businesses. I'm not talking about you guys as much as maybe in commercial real estate, we call it micro businesses. So they may not have a space yet at all. They may not have a budget. We have it narrowed down to the point where we know how they answer certain questions immediately, whether or not they're a fit. If I ask someone, are you able to show a profit and loss and balance sheet? That's one of the easiest ways to determine whether or not we can help them with some of these larger purchases. If they don't have a profit and loss and balance sheet, they can't get financing from a bank. They can't get financing from a bank. They can't do some build out, et cetera, not going to work. I need you to think about what frustrates your clients, right? I need you to think about your points and put that here. Okay, so last thing I want you to put is if you were forced to put yourself in my shoes here, and you're doing a presentation with nothing but your ideal customers, what would you talk about? Right? What would you talk about for 45 minutes? That's going to be your cornerstone content. What's so valuable that you have to offer where somebody would sit there and listen to you that long? And you can get my card too if you have questions. I don't mind spending time with you after the fact. Okay, so here's the fun part. Based on the buyer persona, that cornerstone content you have, that one thing you would talk to your customers about for 45 minutes, that's your cornerstone content. It's the things that you make a white paper on. These are the things that you may do a majority of your web space that you dedicate to. Here's the problem that we solve, okay? Now, on this cornerstone content, I want you guys to explore every possible facet of that problem. So maybe you do a frequently asked questions. Top 10 things about this problem. Let me show you guys an example. Before I get there, I'm going to show you this one quick slide. You can't be average when you're doing this. This is something that's very important because you're going to spend all this time, and if you don't do a great job, you're going to be disappointed with the results. If you just put something out there and it's not great, they're not going to look at it. If you put something out there and it's not entertaining, if it doesn't catch their attention, it's going to be discarded, and you're going to feel really frustrated. So make sure that you're working with professionals that can help you do this, or make sure you spend the time to do it right, and it looks better than everyone else. Now, I'm going to show you guys what we actually do. Now, we did this. We had a crew go up there and do some aerial shots. Now, we went to Allen Parkway, shot a drone up there. So that's our drone, flew it over, and this is part of our content. Now, our cornerstone content for commercial real estate, we kind of broke it up in different sections. We have leasing is one side, and then we have the buyer side. So for leasing, this is our leasing perspective. We want workspace, we want people to think about our company whenever they see these great, beautiful office buildings here. So we got the aerial shots. It's about a 2-3 minute video. We're branded here. And all of these other videos, you see this guy right here, this crazy guy, that's talking about different vlogs. They're about 1 to 2 minutes long. Now, what we've done is we shoot maybe a market report, which is something everybody wants to see. We give them tremendous amounts of detail, more detail than anybody else gives them. We make it exclusive. And then we use all of this stuff here. And you can't read the titles, but I share it with you. Number one reason landlords beat tenants in lease negotiations. Class A, B, and C office space. Where are the deals at? Lease provisions that increase your rental cost. Building cleanliness explained. What to expect and how dirty buildings kill your business. Co-working explained. Building security for office space. Everything you need to know about parking spaces. Your commercial lease must be negotiated. The why and the how. Does that sound like something that people at lease would want to hear about? Okay, so that's our only focus. We don't waste time on anything else. Now here's the value in this. When I'm selling, so to speak, which is not selling anymore, I meet a contact and I send them this playlist. Here's everything you need to know right here. I'm not going to say anything else about it. The only thing I want to do in an initial contact is give a positive enough impression to get them to click on that link. And once I do that, the selling does it by itself. If they like me at all, the information there is going to bring them. It's going to bring it home. And here's the thing. If they don't like me, if I get them to click on the link, they're not going to watch it, and I won't see from them. I won't see them again anyway. Now imagine me talking about market reports and just me on a screen talking about boring numbers. Then imagine seeing the demolition of Anadarko Tower in the Woodlands, but actually see it fall. Because we sent a drone up there, one of our most popular views, right? So we got to see this thing crash, got shared with about 5,000 to 6,000 people. So that got shared with 5,000 to 6,000 people. Now, we supplement some of this with us talking as well, right? So you got me downtown, but that's not as interesting. That's not as interesting. This stuff is great. This stuff supplements it. I need to show enough of this so they know who it is, so there's a face to it, but not too much, right? Now, this one is the coup de grace. 2.6 million views. 2 days. This is when the flood happened and Houston was underwater. Not Harvey, but the one before. We had a drone that flew over a Kroger's. We got so many calls, we had to shut off the phones. Got calls from people that saw me in high school and said, hey, how's it going? I didn't know you were in commercial real estate. Now my face is on there, right? There's nothing about James here. It's just that this got shared with so many people in Houston that clicked on Workspace, saw that I was a managing broker there, said, oh, well, that's okay, I know James. Got calls from clients too. I wanted more calls from clients, but I couldn't tell because we're getting so many calls, we just couldn't reach him. So we got so much attention, CNN and AP News asked to buy the footage, and then we got nervous and said, we don't want to do that because we don't want to sell the media. We're in a commercial real estate business. And FAA regulations were murky at the time. They weren't clearly defined like they are now. If they asked us today, we could sell it. But at the time, there wasn't clear rules on drone usage and how that works. So we said, let's just stick to what we know is legal and what we can do. So how do you structure your content? First, it's cornerstone. It's the webinar stuff. Start with the big case study stuff first. Once you do that, then it's your cobblestone content, and that's your smaller pieces. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so do your big pieces first, then you get your smaller pieces. Your smaller pieces are going to be your vlogs and your blogs. Okay, so how do you distribute your content? Okay, so you got vlogs, blogs, your website posts and social media posts, your email drip campaigns, all of that fills into your sales funnel. Now I'll tell you, if you do one thing with this social media content, start off with a video blog. That's called a vlog. So when you have a vlog, like you saw me on video, you can take the audio and do a podcast. You can take the text and do a website post and a blog. See, and the reason you could do that is because you have the visual, you have the text, and you have the audio. So that allows you to go into different channels to reach more of your customers. So I can go to iTunes and reach my commercial real estate investors through the podcast channel if I want to do that.